Hello everybody, I am Science Viking, and it's time to explore the Catacombs. I have my Divine Richard's Rapier plus 5. I've decided to switch over to using my Hollow Soldier Shield because it blocks 100% of physical. Try not to fall into the pit next to Frampt. It is entirely possible to fall into that and die. Yes, really. Alright, need to head to the graveyard. Let's see how well this sword actually performs against the skeletons. Well, it's helpful if I'm actually within range. A lot less reach than the other one. Alright. It's gonna take me a little while to get used to how close I need to be to these guys. Not bad. Would work better if I had more faith, but the main purpose of this thing is to deal with the infinitely respawning skeletons. In fact, I'm not going to have a whole lot of use for Pyromancer. So I may as well use my fireballs against these guys. Alright, just keep heading down. It's kind of funny, while I was preparing for this, I heard somebody refer to the Catacombs as one of Dark Souls' hardest areas. I really don't get that. I mean, dealing with the Necromancers is hard if you don't have a Divine Ascended weapon, but even then, it really is manageable, and other than that, of all of the Lord Soul areas, I'd say the Catacombs is probably the easiest. Alright. Get the attention of these guys, of the exploding heads. We don't want to fight the skeleton in the place with the exploding heads. And yeah, each head can only detonate once. That's not like a shockwave ability. They are actually blowing themselves up. But you don't want to be hit by it. It causes quite a bit of damage, and it can actually knock you into bottomless pits, which you really don't want. Alright, down here. There'll be more of them. Right. Also, there is a humanity meter in this place. There, in the Catacombs. Forgot the name of the place I was for a second. Right. The way it works is killing the skeletons who do respawn progresses the humanity meter a bit. Killing the necromancers who don't respawn progresses the humanity meter a lot. Also, as I said, killing the necromancers... Yeah, there's nothing dangerous in this hallway, but there are two more skeletons up here. I'm going to try and fight them in the narrow hallway. Since I have a shorter weapon, close quarters benefit me more. Yeah, the weapon took some getting used to, but I'm actually kind of liking it. Which is good, because I'm going to be using it quite a bit while dealing with these respawning enemies. Also, another trick you can use to deal with the skeletons is, if your divine weapon is crappy, then you can weaken them with a different weapon and then switch between your weapons. So like I could have, say, Quelaag's Furysword in this weapon slot, and then just switch over to the Rapier for the last attack, and that will still keep them down. Instead, I still want my bow equipped. However, the first Necromancer is down at the bottom of this area. So for this, I want my Quelaag's Furysword, because the Necromancers don't get back up. They also have a fireball ability that is way more accurate than my fireball ability. The second thing is, we can push this lever to open the door that was up there. In addition, we want to rest at this bonfire. This will cause the skeletons to respawn, but it will also allow me to demonstrate something. Also, since it's not kindled, it doesn't restore any more of my Estus Flask uses. Yep, skeletons are back. But now, they stay dead when killed with a normal weapon. And Quelaag's Furysword does quite a bit more damage than the Richard's Rapier. But only those two skeletons and the skeletons going back towards the entrance were controlled by that Necromancer, so I need my Rapier again in order to kill the rest of them. Alright. This open area means there are going to be more floating heads. And there's the Necromancer. Is he romancing necks? They have a fireball attack that's a bit more quite a bit more accurate than mine. Let's see if I can snipe this guy. Fortunately, his AI can't seem to figure out that there's an obstruction. Alright, that's the second one down. Breaking out Quelaag's Furysword again. Quelaag's Furysword is honestly one of my favorite weapons in this game. It's just fun. And that's why. It also feels appropriate that I use for a Pyromancer to use Quelaag's Furysword, both because it's a fire weapon and because Quelaag is one of the daughters of the Witch of Izalith, and another daughter of the Witch of Izalith is Quelaag, who is, I believe, the inventor of Pyromancy. And yeah, see, once you're high enough, once you have decent equipment and are decently leveled, these skeletons are only a problem if they keep getting back up. There are a couple of options for preventing that. You can kill the Necromancers really quickly, like I did, or you can, like I did with this most recent one, or you can just bring a Divine Ascended weapon. I'd say this area is quite difficult if you don't have a Divine Ascended weapon, but you don't really need to have any faith at all to be capable of killing enemies permanently if you do have a Divine Ascended weapon, because frankly, once you've gotten the hang of Dark Souls, the skeletons aren't really that hard to kill. One strong attack from Quelaag's Furysword will do it. Of course, there is both a Titanite Demon and a Black Knight in here. And the bottom floor contains enemies that are actually a real problem. Alright, we got an archer. And we will be ambushed, but I want to get rid of that archer, so wait for him to finish firing. Strong attack, and he's down. And I gained another humanity, which actually matters because Quelaag's Furysword. Alright, let's quick grab this piece of loot. Large soul of a nameless soldier, that's not bad. This might come as a surprise, but we can't walk on that. The other thing is, there's another Necromancer, which means we're past the skeletons that will stay dead because of the Necromancers we killed before. Let's see if I can snipe this one. Yeah, Necromancer AI is not very smart. Okay, that's another one down. And another one gone, and another one gone, and another one bites the dust. Ow. Get this guy's attention. The most dangerous part of that explosion is the shockwave, because that can easily send you into a bottomless pit. Alright. Dodge roll past that to avoid damage. The other thing is that the skeletons can be killed by environmental kills, but environmental hazards are not considered to have the Divine Auxiliary effect. So for instance, if a skeleton is caught within one of those explosions, that won't kill them unless you've already killed the Necromancer controlling it. Soul of the Proud Knight, those are nice. We can't get to that guy from here. Alright, push this lever. And now we can cross that bridge. This is one of those areas that is the reason why I said you really should have a ranged attack. And particularly a ranged attack you can actually snipe with. Because there are several necromancers you can take out just by sniping them from a distance. But you'd otherwise have to go through everything we just went through with infinitely respawning skeletons. Okay, that was disorienting. I didn't have a problem staying stable in Blighttown, but I'm having one here. And the Skull Lantern. Excellent. That's extremely useful in the next area, the Tomb of the Giants. If you step on this dirt, you will fall through it to a lower room. We don't want to do that yet. Let's explore around here. Right. There are more skeletons. I'm not sure whether or not they're under the control of a necromancer we've killed. They're not. They're under the control of a necromancer who is still alive. So, back to the Divine Rapier. Right. This is why I don't recommend relying on getting past just running past the skeletons to take out the necromancers. It can be done. I've actually done it with one of my other characters, but you will die a lot. Whereas, if you just grab if you just bring a Divine Ascended weapon, between the Divine Auxiliary effect and just the strength your character's likely to have by the time it's worthwhile to come here, you should be fine. 2 more skeletons. The thing is, the skeletons will stay dormant until after you approach them, as you can see, so you don't want to go rushing into things. Go through this area slowly. Go through this area slowly, so that you only end up fighting a few skeletons at once, rather than a whole bunch. Okay, that's one down, the other one's at critical health. And the other one's down. Still haven't gained a humanity yet. Not sure if that's interactable. Also, I have the Ring of the Evil Eye equipped. In hindsight, I probably should have had the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring equipped, but it didn't end up mattering. Because the thing is, the Skull Lantern is extremely valuable, but the Necromancers are not guaranteed to drop it. They just have a chance of dropping it. And there are a limited number of Necromancers who don't respawn. So if you're unlucky, you can go through all of the Catacombs without ever getting the Skull Lantern. Okay, that's their counter stance. I don't want to attack them during that. So it's a good thing that I went with... So I guess I actually probably should have had the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring equipped to get a better chance of getting that item. Now, there's one you can find as a treasure in the Tomb of the Giants, which is the next area after the Catacombs. But it's a ways in, and the thing is, what the Skull Lantern does is it's just a lamp. It fills the shield slot, and all it does is provide light. However, the Tomb of Giants is pitch black, so you can't see anything. Okay, that's not actually going to make him go away, because... infinite respawn. Okay, I A, don't want to knock him off of the edge, and B, don't want to fall off the edge myself. Alright. Fortunately, one of the advantages of Richard's Rapier is that you don't move very much when you attack with it. Okay, we want to pull this lever. There are a lot of ways through the Catacombs. So, you'll see, the Catacombs feels like a maze. But it really isn't a maze, because there are a lot of ways you can go, and all of them will eventually take you to the exit. There are particular things that can be hard to find, but... Okay, what is that light source down there? Okay. There is one place we do want to jump off. it's right here. Be careful, but... Alright, so this doorway past the switch, step over the edge. And miss it completely. I'll be back in a second, everyone. Now, you may be wondering why the route that I suggest taking involves dodge rolling into a seemingly bottomless pit. Because I forgot to demonstrate that earlier. The reason is, because if you can go through here, turn left, and then come out here. There's an NPC you can talk to, and you can potentially cross this bridge. What position it's in depends on a couple of things. And the issue is, there's an NPC over here who might flip the switch controlling the bridge, causing it to change directions while you're standing on it and causing you to fall down. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with that, and that's fine. That route, with the usual level of danger for Dark Souls, will allow you to get to the end of this area. But there's a reason why I don't want to do that. And that is that there is actually a blacksmith in the Catacombs. But to reach him, you have to jump off here. There's no other way to get there. So, I'm going to have to actually find a way to get this jump right. So let's try from directly across here, dodge roll. And I survived. Okay, so for the most part, facing away from that doorway with the switch, dodge roll forward, and you'll fall onto a corpse with a green Titanite shard. There isn't enough room to get the running start you need for a jump, but if you just walk off, it won't be enough. Now, again, aiming at this corpse with this other piece of loot, use the pieces of loot as guides, dodge roll forward. Once again, you will survive, pillage the body, and we'll find a shield, and then drop down here. And there's a cutscene. Cthulhu? Is that you?
Be gone with you. You'll spoil my focus.
And now we have another blacksmith. Let's talk to him.
Need some smithing, then produce me some wares.
See what he sells. Homeward bones, Titanite shards, and arrows. However, he can also modify equipment as fire using green Titanite shards.
What was that about? Don't be coming around here without a good reason.
He can modify equipment as fire. He can also modify equipment as chaos once we have the right, once we bring him the right ember. That ember is in the demon ruins. I'll show you how to get it. Now out here, here's the other thing we've accomplished. Out here is actually right at the end of the Catacombs. However, there are these enemies, skeleton enemies. They are quite difficult to fight against. However, it's possible to get them trapped, like this. You can get them trapped in a narrow space so they can't dodge you properly. However, there are quite a few of them down here. The game is willing to be a little... You want to get them to run into a wall, and then run over to them and hit them before they can get moving again. Nobody likes skeleton wheels. Alright, quick heal up. Now let's explore this area that seems to be full of bones. This is actually reminiscent of the Skeleton Lord's boss room from Dark Souls 2. A lot of people complain about the bosses in Dark Souls 2. Personally, the bosses were actually one of the parts of Dark Souls 2 that I liked the most. My biggest issue with Dark Souls 2 is they made it so that if you kill a particular enemy... Oop, and we have a Black Knight. Okay. Black Knight in a room full of skeleton wheels. I'm gonna... Oh, white Titanite chunk. That's used to... And a humanity. Okay, I want to not die. Another bone wheel shield. That was harrowing. White Titanite chunk is used to upgrade Divine Ascended weapons between +10 and +15. That requires the second Divine Ember, which we'll find in the Tomb of the Giants. Now, if we head back this way, we can meet up with the route the way you would get to this area normal. These skeletons are controlled by this Necromancer. Fortunately, the Necromancer is going to live very long. And thus neither are the skeletons. Using a decent amount of Estus, but I'll be fine. Now we can climb up this ladder. The one other potentially interesting and useful thing in the Catacombs is a Titanite demon. I'm probably going to come back here at a later time to fight that Titanite demon. Because, frankly, Demon Titanite would be useful in upgrading Quelaag's Furysword, and I like Quelaag's Furysword so much that I think I want to have its children. However, I'm just going to take on the boss first. That may seem strange, considering the fact that I have 20,000 souls and 5 humanity. And the fact that I haven't rested at a bonfire in quite a while. Seems like taking a rather foolish risk. And it would be if this was a normal boss. But this boss is not a normal boss. This is Pinwheel, the easiest boss in all of Dark Souls. I should be able to kill him in 2 or 3 hits. Now that I've... Literally, the bone wheel skeletons are more of a threat than Pinwheel is. Let's actually read what this message says. Be wary of tough enemy. No, not really. Read message. Imminent master. That's appropriate, I suppose, warning people that the boss is in here. Let's traverse the way. Weakness beating to a pulp. Drop down here. This is admittedly a very cool cutscene. This room filled with books and skeletons. And Pinwheel apparently working on a skeleton. The masks seem to look at each other a bit and decide that we need to die. However, the thing about Pinwheel, he likes to make copies of himself. The copies do not share a health bar with the original. So it's difficult to find the correct one. The only real other thing to worry about is that his attacks do cause quite a bit of damage. Okay, stay locked on to the one I tell you to stay locked on to. That's the original. Okay, I can't quite two-shot him, but that's the thing. He doesn't have a whole lot of health. And that's it. And Pinwheel is down. And we won. I now have the Rite of Kindling, as well as a humanity and a homeward bone. And 15,000 souls. And Mask of the Child. He can drop Mask of the Mother, Mask of the Father, or Mask of the Child. It's random. I'm going to see what the Mask of the Child does. Not very good armor. However, it raises stamina recovery speed. We just beat Pinwheel. Now we just need to find a bonfire so that we can warp back to Firelink Shrine to level up. This will also allow me to demonstrate why it is that I'm really glad that I got that lantern. Because this is what the Tomb of the Giants looks like. See how we can't see anything? We can't see anything. Well, let's find that lantern and equip it. Now we can see things. And this way should lead back to the Catacombs. So the idea is that now that we've beaten Pinwheel, we can follow this tunnel back, and we can drop off and grab this loot, which is the soul of a proud knight. Those are always nice. Can drop ourselves down into that area, which will be back in the Catacombs. So, and now that the boss is dead, obviously we can just walk back through there. However, there's a bonfire pretty early in the Catacombs, or not the Catacombs, pretty early in the Tomb of Giants, that I want to find. So, hold up the lantern. There are enemies. You know, remember the giant skeletons from the graveyard? They are the normal enemies now in the Tomb of Giants. And it's really difficult to see, unless you have the skull lantern, which allows you to see properly. There are these prism stones, though. But you do kind of have to estimate. Unfortunately, one of the things that's reduced by the poor visibility is your maximum lock-on distance, causing things like that to happen. Switch back to the lantern. Alright. I'd say that's enough of a demo for this time before I go... I'm going to come back in another part to really do the Tomb of Giants properly. So, with that, I was remembering wrong. It turns out there isn't a bonfire just inside here. It'll be a while before I can get to a bonfire. So, with that, I'm going to quick run back to Firelink Shrine and spend some of these souls. And I'll see you next time. In the meantime, I love you all, and there's going to be some bonus footage, and I'm going to hunt down the Titanite demon in here and show how to get to it. So, I guess, roll the bonus footage, and in the meantime, I love you all. See you next time. Hey everybody, just a quick bit of bonus footage, because I accidentally found something really interesting. So, first let me get my bearings. This is that bridge that I showed you earlier that you might want to take, but an NPC will sometimes try to mess with you if you take it. Walk along it. You're going to want to sprint because there are exploding enemies around here. And usually a skeleton will fall down and die while you do that. And head through here. Okay, these two skeletons are apparently controlled by a necromancer I haven't killed yet. Switching back to the Divine Rapier to kill them. Alright. See this wall that's crumbling. Now, before you do this, make sure that you have a homeward bone. Then, hit the wall and step through. There's a vertical drop, so be careful. First, there's an archer to your right. Jump down and attack that archer to make sure that he dies. Then, let's see if these skeletons are controlled by a necromancer. If they are, then these pyromancies won't permanently kill them. If they aren't, the pyromancies will. Okay, they're controlled by a necromancer. I'm going to wait for them to get back up and kill them with my sword. Oops. Recover. Unfortunately, there isn't a good way to hit that archer. retreat down this hallway. The giant skeleton is the only thing in this hallway that can hurt you, so if the giant skeleton decides to head into the main room, then just retreat. The other thing is, the regular skeleton may be controlled by a necromancer, but the giant skeleton... Okay, what was that? Seriously. The giant skeleton is not. Okay, this is frustrating. So, you can take out the giant skeleton with magic and it won't be a problem, which is good because I'm going to have to. What was that? Okay, the giant skeleton is dead. Thank you, Great Chaos Fireball. I'll have to thank the fair lady for that one later. Kill the regular skeletons with my good old-fashioned rapier. Yeah, this ambush room is actually pretty dangerous. The giant skeletons are far from invincible, but they're difficult to take out on their terms. You want to be able to lure them to attack you. We'll demonstrate more about good ways of fighting against them later. But, at the end of this, there's a treasure. I picked it up without thinking while I was off camera. In that treasure is the Dark Moon Seance Ring. Let's check out what it does. Grants additional attunement slots. If you equip the Dark Moon Seance Ring, it will cause you to gain more... It will cause you to be able to attune an extra spell. However, there does not appear to be a way out... Oh, there's a way out right here. Still want to bring a homeward bone. But, okay, so let's demonstrate that. So after you've got the Dark Moon Seance Ring and are heading out, make a left and go through this tunnel. I'm going to hold on to my Divine Rapier for now. I have Pyromancy for the enemies that aren't controlled by a Necromancer. And there's somebody fighting something in here in another game. Remember, never alone. And there's the Necromancer who was giving me trouble earlier. And he's dead. Nice few extra souls. And now we can drop back down into the room where I was. Swap over to my shield. Let's explore a bit more. The last surviving Necromancer, I'm fairly certain now, is actually dead, so these skeletons will not respawn. However, these floating heads can be a bit of a problem. I do not want to fight the skeletons out here because I won't be able to dodge the explosion attack. Didn't see that floating head. Well, let's get in here. Take a quick swig. And kill that skeleton. Come on, get all explodey. And let's continue through here. This is the more normal route through the Catacombs. Okay, that appears to be everything. And into this long hallway. Be careful in these long hallways you can't really see the end of because it's common for you to be ambushed. And the music isn't exactly helping with that feeling. And here we have a Titanite demon. I use my large arrows and snipe it. Okay, it's beyond my maximum range. That's not a good strategy. Not doing enough damage even with large arrows. Use the pillars as cover until you're close enough to lock onto it. The main thing is that if possible, you do not want to provoke it into leaping. So if it starts walking towards you, you're going to want to start backing up. I'm killing this thing because I want Demon Titanite to upgrade this Furysword. Titanite demons have quite a bit of health, but they're a lot harder to kill using... They're a lot harder to kill using melee than they are to kill using anything else. I suppose I could probably hit it with Great Chaos Fight, but I don't was getting that close. Also, I may be losing my mind, but it looks like the lightning effects have been redone. Like, I'm almost wondering if... I feel like these lightning effects look different, and in my opinion, a lot cooler than they did earlier in this Let's Play. Like, they've actually redone the animation at some point and released it as a patch, and I just didn't notice. Because I'm using the Steam version, which downloads patches automatically. Yeah, just keep unloading them. While discussing the weather. You will periodically stagger him, but it's not that hard to break his AI, so he'll just keep using the lightning attack, which is the easiest attack to avoid. Kept firing for too long while moving, so I had to dodge roll. The reason why I don't want to bother with that Titanite demon in Orlando is because you can't use this strategy against it. That's some damage. Okay, get behind the wall and heal. Yeah, I got greedy. Alright. And? I win! I'm the best at using really cheap tactics in order to barely win. Alright, pick up the Demon Titanite. I can use that to upgrade my sword. See what this is. An Eye of... well, several Eyes of Death, which is going to connect to what I'm about to demonstrate. Which is... where's the coffin? Let's see which coffin I do this with. It should have been that one. Because, yeah, it should be the one that isn't broken, so I'm pretty sure it is that coffin. Yep. Nestle in coffin. Now we just have to wait for a while. You only have to wait the first time. This is sort of like the, remember how to talk. This is sort of like the thing with the bird when you're returning to the Undead Asylum. That you just wait for a while. And that happens. He's taking a nice nap in a perfectly ordinary coffin. And all I'm doing is just sleeping in a coffin. What's it to you? There's really no reason why anything strange... Whoa! Crap! Oh, Jesus! We appear to have been kidnapped. And we're in the Tomb of Giants. And if we look around, we'll find something interesting. Here. We can enter a covenant. This covenant is the Gravelord Servant Covenant, which involves infecting other players' worlds with Gravelord phantoms, so that then they can invade you to punish you, to try and kill you, to get the phantoms to go away. However, the leader of this covenant, not really surprisingly, is Gravelord Nito. We have to kill Gravelord Nito. That's why this covenant is weird, because killing the leader of the covenant is not considered a sin against the covenant. And in case you're wondering, I'm pretty sure you can't attack Nito here to start the boss fight early. I suppose I may as well test that. I may regret this, but... Nope, he's not considered even a living unit or anything, so I can't kill him. I can't use this method to assassinate Nito to avoid going through Tomb of the Giants. So I am going to have to do the Tomb of the Giants, just like I thought. But, yeah, this is how you get the Gravelord Covenant. The Gravelord Covenant Servant. How you get the Gravelord Servant Covenant. And then you nestle back in the coffin to return. This time it happens pretty much immediately. So the first time it takes a little while, but it's a lot faster every subsequent time. Still wondering what exactly Nito is, though. Though the really heavy stone coffins seem like an interesting idea. Like, I almost wonder if the coffin lids are so heavy because they're afraid something might escape. Which I suppose, given how common the dead coming back to life is in this setting, kind of makes sense. Now, if instead of fighting the Titanite Demon, you turn right and head through here, this is where you will normally meet the Black Knight that I killed. Also, you may notice some of these floor panels look a bit flimsy. Step on them and they'll fall through. Don't worry, there's floor beneath. Yep, this! We find the soul of a proud knight, and this is where we would encounter the Black Knight that I avoided fighting. This is another way to get to the bottom. But you'll notice that when I fought that Necromancer, there was a ladder. That is part of a third way to get to the bottom. There are a lot... This is what I mean. The Catacombs is like a maze, but there are so many ways through it that you'll never really be lost. Now, I'm just going to homeward bone my way back to Firelink and do the last of my preparations before I take on the Tomb of the Giants. So, that's it for the bonus footage for this video. So, Tomb of the Giants will be the next video. So, Science Viking, signing off. As usual, I love you all, and I will see you next time.